Everyone cursed my sisters-in-law, saying they had a hard fate and brought death to their husbands, and that they deserved to be widows. Until that day, when I set the Zhang family's courtyard on fire and held my 3 sisters-in-law close, saying, "From now on, you're under my protection. Whoever dares wag their tongue again, I'll make sure they can't open their mouth even in their next life. Sister-in-law, you're so fair." On a summer afternoon, in the small courtyard at the eastern edge of our Qiusheng village, my eldest sister-in-law, Su Chunyao, got a face full of water from me. Her dark cyan short jacket was soaked through, clinging to her body, her cheeks flushed pink. I stared at that full, rounded curve and wiped my drool. Like tofu, fragrant and tender, it looked delicious. "You brat, do you think I'm as easy to talk to as your second and third sisters-in-law?" Su Chunyao blushed and hurriedly pulled her clothes together. "In this June heat, people can smell you from half a mile away, so hurry up and take a bath." Just then, a harsh laugh came from outside the door. "Su Chunyao, he's just a fool. Can he even understand human speech? How about you come help your brother take a wash?" And I promised to cooperate. Eldest sister-in-law's heart tightened. She turned her back to fasten her buttons before daring to look around. It was Zhang Chong, the village team leader's wife's younger brother. Relying on that connection, he bullied people all over the village and no one dared do anything about it. "What are you here for?" Eldest sister-in-law looked wary. Zhang Chong grinned and stepped forward. "Sister Yao, I've seen what I should and shouldn't have seen, so why act all proper with me now? You're just over 30, fair and pretty too. Wouldn't it be great to find yourself a man? Why insist on staying with the Du family as a widow?" Eldest sister-in-law was furious and embarrassed. "Zhang Chong, if you've got nothing better to do, then get the hell back to your production team." "What if I don't?" Zhang Chong reached out, trying to yank at eldest sister-in-law's thin blouse. He hadn't even touched her clothes before the gourd dipper smashed into his forehead first. "Ow! Du Qiusheng, you damn fool, how dare you hit me? My sister-in-law told you to get lost. If you won't, then I'll hit you." I put on a fierce face and stood protectively in front of eldest sister-in-law. Back when eldest sister-in-law married into the Du family at 18, I wasn't a fool yet. Not only was I not stupid, I was the only one in the village who got into college. In 1958, the year I received my admission letter, the Great Famine happened to strike. My parents and my 3 brothers went down into the mines, hoping to support my college education. But a coal mine collapse buried them underground forever, leaving behind only 3 young sisters-in-law and me, who was about to go report for school. The night I learned of their deaths, I burned with fever for 3 straight days. When it finally broke, I had gone stupid, and I stayed that way for 3 years. Eldest sister-in-law's eyes reddened. "Qiusheng, well done. That's what a real man does." Sister-in-law is happy, and Qiusheng is happy too. Qiusheng is a real man. Qiusheng will help sister-in-law beat up the bad guys. I hadn't even been happy for long before a big foot kicked me hard. "You damn fool. How dare you sucker punch me? I'll fucking teach you for hitting me." Zhang Chong snatched the gourd dipper and smashed it at my head. A piercing pain. Blood soaked my collar and also drenched that ancestral ancient jade hanging inside my shirt. Suddenly, the ancient jade shattered. A dazzling golden light shot into my mind. In my dazed haze, someone whispered by my ear, "I am the divine lord of Taishu, and because I received a great favor from the Du family's ancestors, I have specially left behind a wisp of divine soul to grant their descendants an immense fortune. Du Qiusheng, since you have awakened me, then you must receive this fortune well." Qiusheng. Eldest sister-in-law, like she'd gone mad, rushed to pull at Zhang Chong. "Zhang Chong, stop it right now. Get the hell out of the way." Zhang Chong flung eldest sister-in-law aside and kicked me several more times. "Zhang Chong, I'm begging you, stop hitting him. If you keep going, Qiusheng will die." Eldest sister-in-law pleaded through tears. Looking at her pitiful, tearful appearance, and the melons rising and falling with her hurried breaths, Zhang Chong flew into a rage. "Su Chunyao, looking this slutty, aren't you obviously trying to seduce men?" He pounced on my sister-in-law and pinned both her wrists with one hand. Rip! Her thin shirt was torn into strips. The sudden spring scenery made Zhang Chong almost unable to keep his eyes open. "Zhang Chong, don't do anything reckless. If you dare touch me today, tomorrow I'll drink poison at your doorstep. Let go of me." "No, I'm begging you." My sister-in-law's pleading was replaced by despair. Just as her heart turned to ashes, a furious shout suddenly rang out. "Zhang Chong, if you dare bully my sister-in-law, I'll kill you." My eyes burned with fire as I sent Zhang Chong flying 7 or 8 meters away with a flying kick. Actually, I had already woken up when my sister-in-law tried to stop him. More precisely, I was no longer stupid. If it weren't for needing to digest the cultivation techniques and divine abilities imparted by Taishu Divine Venerable and repair the severe head injury, I'd have jumped up long ago and flayed this beast alive. Sister-in-law, are you okay? My eyes red. I took off my faded short jacket and draped it over my sister-in-law. She looked up at me, and without saying a word, tears came pouring down. It made my heart clench into a knot too. Do the idiot. You sure know how to pick your timing. I was just about to get started, and you pull a sneak attack on me? Let's see how I deal with you. Cursing nonstop, Zhang Chong climbed up from the ground. How could he know that speaking up at a time like this was just asking to die? I clenched my fists, my eyes so red I looked like a ghost crawling out of hell. What kind of look is that? Zhang Chong shuddered all over, but quickly regained his composure. No matter how scary this idiot looked, could he really be stronger than a normal grown man? He picked up a brick from the ground. Du Qiusheng, you worthless idiot who can't even take care of yourself. What the hell are you acting tough with me for? Once I cripple you, I'll properly have a taste of your sister-in-law too. Just as Zhang Chong swung the brick down, my sister-in-law cried out, Ashung. But my gaze turned cold, and I threw out an even faster punch, smashing viciously toward Zhang Chong's face. Crack! His nose bridge broke. Ah! The scream echoed through the small courtyard. My sister-in-law was stunned too. Was this still the foolish younger brother-in-law she remembered? Du Qiusheng, you damn idiot, you dare hurt me? Your whole family is finished. I laughed like a madman, laughed wildly, laughed so hard that Zhang Chong's heart started pounding with fear. Make me pay the price? Fine. Then I'll first settle the score for bullying my sister-in-law. Grinning, I picked up that brick and smashed the corner of it hard into Zhang Chong's lower abdomen, 3 inches below the navel. Ah, wow. Even Zhang Chong's voice changed. He convulsed on the ground, and after twitching for a while, he went silent. My sister-in-law felt vindicated, but after that came fear, surging into her head like a tide. Ashing, you didn't beat Zhang Chong to death, did you? Click. A strange sound came from outside the door. Second sister-in-law Shen Yaji and third sister-in-law Su Lan stood frozen at the courtyard entrance. Second sister-in-law was about 24 or 25, with an oval face, willow leaf brows, and a pair of shimmering watery eyes that made people unable to look away. Third sister-in-law was about the same age as me, just over 20. Born with a pair of lively eyes as spirited as a deer's, one look and you couldn't forget them. Eldest sister-in-law, how did Zhang Chong die in our house? Second sister-in-law's eyes widened. It's fine, he's not dead, just unconscious. I tossed aside the brick and looked at third sister-in-law. Third sister-in-law, you're fast on your feet, go call the team leader. Just say Zhang Chong was molesting someone at our house, and you couldn't stop him. Okay. Just as third sister-in-law was about to turn around, she suddenly realized something was off. Ashung, why do I feel like you don't seem stupid anymore? All 3 sisters-in-law turned their eyes on me. I nodded. Zhang Chong smacked me back to normal with a brick. Third sister-in-law, go call someone first. Once this matter is settled, we'll talk slowly. The hearts of the 3 women, which had been in turmoil, suddenly calmed down. I used to be the only college student in the village. I definitely know how to handle this. Third sister-in-law dashed out of the yard. Before long, team leader Cui Zhigua and his wife Zhang Yue arrived, followed by a crowd of villagers coming to watch the commotion. Zhang Chong, you bastard. Qiangzi. Cui Zhigua had entered cursing with a dark face, but the moment he saw Zhang Chong's crooked nose bridge and bloody crotch, his face turned pale in an instant. Ah! Zhang Yue's body went limp, and she glared fiercely at eldest sister-in-law. Su Chunyao, was it you who harmed my brother like this? It has nothing to do with my sister-in-law. It was me. I shrugged and admitted it openly. He bullied my sister-in-law and even tried to kill me. I had no choice but to fight back. Don't worry, he's still breathing. It's just that I smashed that thing of his useless. So he won't be able to bully women anymore. The villagers whispered among themselves. With Zhang Chong bleeding like that down there, how's he ever supposed to get it up again? Serves him right. He's always harassing women for no reason, especially picking on married ones. But that was a bit too ruthless. Zhang Yue was nearly mad with rage. She grabbed a hammer and tried to fight me to the death. It was so sudden and fast that by the time my 3 sisters-in-law tried to stop her, it was already too late. Ashing. The 3 women were scared out of their wits. Cui Guaji, meanwhile, watched coldly, planning to wait until the hammer struck before pretending to say a few fair-sounding words. But unexpectedly, just when everyone thought I was doomed, before the hammer could come down, I viciously slapped Zhang Yue hard across the face. Smack! A crisp slap rang out. The hammer veered off to one side, and Zhang Yue was stunned by the blow. Du Qiusheng, what are you doing? Cui Guozhi was the first to recover, immediately trying to pin a charge on me. You crippled Zhang Chong. And now you want to lay a vicious hand on a weak woman too. A weak woman? She was swinging a hammer at me. If I didn't fight back, was I supposed to just stand there and let her smash me? I shot back. Team leader Cui, you aren't stupid, are you? Cui Guozhi's face shifted between green and white, as if he had realized something. Du Qiusheng, you're back to normal? Who cares whether he's normal or not? Look what he did to my brother. Hurry up and arrest him. Zhang Yue came to her senses and demanded that Cui Guozhi stand up for her. But now that I wasn't stupid anymore, how could they arrest me just because they said so? Team leader Cui, Zhang Chong trespassed into a private home, attempted murder, attempted rape. If we're really going to count it all up, the one who should be put on trial is your brother-in-law, right? Of course, it's hard even for an upright official to settle family matters. If team leader Cui can't make a judgment, I don't mind going to the town or even the province to ask the leaders what should be done in this kind of situation. The more Cui Guozhi listened, the uglier his expression became. He could call the shots in the team, but when he really ran into an educated person, the local rules didn't work so well. Enough. Cui Guozhi's face sank. Qiusheng, since you're not stupid anymore, let me reason this out with you. Zhang Chong was in the wrong, but aren't you all standing here just fine too? You destroyed his manhood. What is Zhang Chong supposed to do now? What is the Zhang family supposed to do? I know you used to be a college student and have a lot of pride, but now that this has happened, we have to solve the problem, don't we? No wonder he could be the team leader. After that smooth little combo, if I didn't go along with his line, I'd really look like the villain. Uncle, then what do you say we should do? Uncle will give you two choices. 1. Go to Matu Mountain and be a forest ranger. 2nd, your family gives the Zhang family some compensation, and the compensation can wait until Zhang Chong wakes up and names it himself. The moment he said that, the villagers' expressions changed instantly. Matu Mountain was steep and dangerous, and wild beasts prowled the forest. 10 years ago, 3 forest rangers in a row met with disaster there, and the position had remained vacant ever since. But as it happened, the clear-headed me was worse off than a fool. Fine, I choose the first one, forest ranger. A sinister look flashed through Cui Zhiguo's eyes. Qiusheng, don't say Uncle didn't give you a chance. In front of the villagers, Uncle asks you one last time. Are you sure you want to be a forest ranger? I'm sure. The 3 sisters-in-law were frantic. Qiusheng, could it be that your foolishness still hasn't fully gone away? That forest ranger job is deadly work. A man who lives by the pen like you would only be going there to die? Third sister-in-law was so anxious she was almost crying. Second sister-in-law also looked urgent. Qiusheng, listen to your second sister-in-law. Let's choose the second option. Even if Zhang Chong asks for an outrageous amount, sooner or later we can fill the hole. Eldest sister-in-law's eyes were red. Captain Cui, we'll choose the second option. We'll pay whatever it takes. Zhang Yue was practically overjoyed. Compensation? What compensation? If the Du family chooses compensation, aren't these 2 big tiled houses just one word away from belonging to Zhang Chong? If they choose forest ranger, does Du Qiusheng still have a life left? Once the Du family line dies out, the big tiled houses will sooner or later be taken over by the team. Compensation for what? Du Qiusheng picked this himself. Instead of wasting time crying, you'd be better off making paper effigies for him and preparing his funeral early. Zhang Yue stood with her hands on her hips, shouted for people to carry Zhang Chong, and left. The small courtyard returned to peace. I sighed. Eldest sister-in-law, second sister-in-law, third sister-in-law, I know you're worried about me, but I had no choice. If I chose compensation, Zhang Chong would want the house. And he'd also want eldest sister-in-law to be his wife. How could I refuse? Eldest sister-in-law's voice trembled, on the verge of tears. She was over 30. Though she wasn't as lively as third sister-in-law or as fresh and refined as second sister-in-law, she was born with a seductive charm, which added a kind of allure unique to a mature woman. The sight of her made my heart burn. I took a breath, cast aside my distracting thoughts, and placed my hands on eldest sister-in-law's shoulders. Believe me, they left so readily because they had it all figured out that I'd lose my life on Matu Mountain, but I insist on slapping them in the face. I'll show them that not only can I be a good forest ranger, I can also make sure you eat meat every meal. Meat? These days there's a great famine across the whole country. Being able to eat 1 full meal a day is already remarkable. Who would still dare dream of eating meat? The 3 women looked at each other, all thinking that although my foolishness had just gotten better, there were still after effects. But before long, they wouldn't have a choice but to believe me. The sun set in the west. Carrying a knife and a basket on my back, I followed the mountain path trampled out by old hunters and headed deeper into the forest. I had only walked for less than half an hour when I ran into a delightful surprise, a wild fruit grove. There were even several piles of wild rabbit droppings on the ground, and my eyes lit up. In times like these, coming across a wild fruit grove could truly be called paradise for herbivores. I wasn't in a hurry either. I picked half a basket of wild fruit, sat down cross-legged, and tried to comprehend the 9 mystic Qiusheng art taught to me by the Taishu Divine Venerable. According to what the Divine Venerable taught, this cultivation method has 9 levels in total. The first level is green vines coiling. The second is rice fragrance crossing. The third is 100 herbs discernment. As the cultivation method breaks through, one will also comprehend the corresponding 9 realms of immortal cultivation. The first realm, seed condensation, allows one to condense a spiritual seed within the body, sense the emotions of plants, and stimulate and control them. The second realm, green grain, transforms the dantian into a green grain Tao platform. With a grass-returning pill in the mouth, one can control brambles within 100 zhang and be unstoppable. All the way to the 9th realm, Qiusheng, where words become law to spur all things into motion, evolving a minor kiliocosm medicine world. Perhaps I was too impatient. I couldn't calm my mind to comprehend it, and my head was a complete mess. But I could clearly feel that after the Divine Venerable cleansed and remolded my body, my physique had indeed undergone earth-shaking changes. Forget it. Cultivation isn't something achieved in a day or two. I'll take it slow. First, I need to secure tonight's rations. After adjusting my mindset, I opened my eyes and saw 2 wild rabbits in the distance. Both were fairly large, about 3 or 4 gene each. One was yellowish-brown all over with black tips on its ears. The other was pure gray. I bent slightly, preparing to fling the wood-chopping knife. The wild rabbits were clever too. Ears pricked up as they faced off with me for more than 10 minutes. Only after confirming there was no more danger did they lower their heads and go back to gnawing on wild fruit. Now, I took aim at the wild rabbit and violently flung the machete. It struck the yellow-brown rabbit right in the back of the neck, and after a few flutters, it stopped moving. Got something. I weighed it in my hand, 3 or 4 gene. Not enough to eat, at most enough for a whole family to have a little taste. These days the mountain isn't peaceful, and even old hunters don't dare go deep into it. I picked some mushrooms and wild vegetables nearby, and once the bamboo basket was full, I planned to head home. Unexpectedly, enemies really do meet on narrow roads. As soon as I reached the foot of the mountain, I ran into Lu Qiao, the Zhang family's second son-in-law. Lu Qiao had a stick in his hand and had 2 tough young men with him. It was obvious he knew I had gone up the mountain and had deliberately waited here to block me. Brother Qiao, this fool's got some skill, huh? He even scored some game. Such a fat wild rabbit. If we stew it, each of us could get a big bowlful. The 2 young men's 4 eyes were practically glowing green. Eat, eat, eat. Why the hell do you think I called you here? You came here for meat? Lu Qiao kicked each of them once. What are you still standing around for? Tie him up. Don't let him ruin the good thing our Zhang family is going. Good thing? I frowned, sensing that something was off. Lu Qiao, what have you done? What have we done? Lu Qiao wore a lecherous grin. Of course we tied up Su Chunyao and made her marry into our Zhang family as a wife. Judging by the time, they should be entering the bridal chamber right about now. What? My face changed, and I took off running toward the Zhang family home. Before I had even run a few meters, the 2 young men grabbed me from the left and right. Du Qiusheng, I've been waiting here for you for half the day. Do you think I'd still let you go back and ruin things? Give up on that idea. Lu Qiao was full of himself. Little did he know, the moment he let it slip, my anger had already shot straight to my head. Fuck. Get the hell away from me. I let out a furious roar, my arms suddenly shaking as I threw off the 2 sturdy young men with sheer strength. Ouch. The 2 farmhands were sent flying 4 or 5 meters away. Damn it. Lu Qiao's eyes turned cold, and he swung his hammer straight at my head. Looking for death. My face darkened, and with a quick sidestep I moved behind him and viciously kicked him in the lower back. Lu Qiao collapsed to the ground like a limp loach and couldn't get back up for a long while. I looked down at him from above, cold lights surging in my eyes. Lu Qiao, you'd better pray my sister-in-law is all right, otherwise, I won't just wipe out the Zhang family. I'll make your Lu family be buried with them too. Thump. Lu Qiao's heart tightened, and he instinctively wanted to look up and argue back. But when he met my eyes, a bone-chilling coldness shot from his heels straight to the top of his head. Something was wrong, very wrong. Even if Du Qiusheng's stupidity was cured, he shouldn't be this strong. Meanwhile, over at the Zhang family home, inside the inner room, Su Chunyao had been forcibly changed into a set of red clothes, and her hands had been chafed red by the hemp rope. Let me go? I won't marry. I'm the Du family's daughter-in-law. I can't marry. Smack. A slap landed hard across Su Chunyao's face. The one who struck her was none other than the Zhang family's second daughter, Lu Chao's wife, Zhang Xueli. Won't marry? Do you still get to say whether you'll marry or not? Your brother crippled my little brother and made it so he can't be a man anymore. If you don't marry into our Zhang family, then you'll serve my brother for the rest of his life. Zhang Xueli's face was full of mean spite as she yanked Su Chunyao by the hair and dragged her outside. My brother is already awake now, so hurry up and get the wedding done. No, I can't marry. Asheng, save me, Asheng. Su Chunyao was in floods of tears, her nearly desperate cries for help reaching the ears of the Zhang family, yet sounding incomparably laughable to them. Stop bawling. Even if you scream your throat raw, no one will come save you. Su Lan and Su Yaji have already been taken to the brigade to do rush work. Before noon tomorrow, neither of them can possibly make it back. And that brat Du Qiusheng. Hee, I figure by now my man has already crippled him. What? Lu Chao crippled Asheng. Su Chunyao's delicate body trembled, and she completely broke down. If you have something against me, just come at me. Why target Asheng? Why? Bang. Faced with Su Chunyao's hoarse questioning, Zhang Xueli showed no mercy and kicked her Brahma in the chest. The sudden blow made Su Chunyao's vision go black, and she nearly fainted. Hurry up, second sister. We can deal with this bitch later. Drag her over here first, and let me get married. Beside them, Zhang Chong licked his lips, his face full of impatience. His whole body might be in pain, but he could not take a wife. Otherwise, once this chance passed, who would agree to marry him and share a warm bed with him in the future? Look how impatient you are, kid. She's already here. Do you really think she can run away? Father Zhang stroked his beard and chuckled. No matter what, it was still his son getting a wife. How could a father not be happy? As for whether he could still have children, humph, he'd already looked into it. This kind of thing could be remedied by replacing like with like. When the time came, they'd use Du Qiusheng's manhood to compensate for his sons. You crippled Asheng, and now you're forcing me to marry this bastard. You might as well just kill me. Su Chunyao was in tears, and amid endless collapse and despair, a trace of resolve gradually rose within her. You people surnamed Zhang, no matter how lowly I, Su Chunyao, may be, in life I'm a member of the Du family, and in death I'll be a ghost of the Du family. If you want to violate me, dream on. As she spoke, her gaze darkened, and she suddenly charged toward a wooden post several meters away. No. Right at that moment, a figure flashed over and swiftly pulled the death-bound Su Chunyao into his arms. Sister-in-law, I'm here. I'm Asheng. I'm here to save you. Asheng. Hearing that familiar voice, Su Chunyao slowly raised her head and sure enough saw that handsome face she had been longing for, and the lingering fear flashing in Du Qiusheng's eyes. She pursed her lips, and her usual stubbornness vanished in an instant. In its place came unstoppable tears and grievance. Asheng, my Asheng. Sister-in-law, don't cry. With me here, I won't let anyone bully you. Du Qiusheng's eyes also reddened as he gently patted Su Chunyao's back, while the anger in his heart surged like a gushing river, churning without end. But the Zhang family just kept courting death. Well, Du Qiusheng, we didn't even go to the Du family to cause you trouble. Yet you came here yourself to die. As old man Zhang spoke, a trace of malice flashed in his eyes. Back when he was young, he had been the slyest one for miles around. And now that he was old, he had become even shrewder and more calculating. Sure enough, when Zhang Chong was carried back half dead by his eldest daughter and son-in-law, though he was furious, he quickly began scheming. First, he had Cui Zhigua use his authority to trick the two widows of the Du family away. Then he had his second son-in-law Lu Chao bring people to block Du Qiusheng at Matu Mountain. As for himself, relying on his eldest son-in-law's status as team leader, he rounded up 4 or 5 sturdy men in one go and headed straight for the Du house to kidnap the isolated Su Chunyao and force a shotgun wedding. Originally, old man Zhang had planned to wait until after the wedding, then pick a time to get Du Qiusheng's manhood and replace his own only sons with it. But now, humph, since you've come, all the better. I'll just cut yours off and put it on my son. Men, whoever can take this brat down, I'll make sure my son-in-law gives you extra work points. Old man Zhang beckoned and immediately called over 4 burly men. They were all from the same village, so Du Qiusheng found them familiar and knew full well what was going on. He swept the 4 of them with a cold glance, his gaze settling on the man at the far right. Brother Liang, this has nothing to do with you. Stay out of it, or don't blame me for not showing any mercy. This man was named Zhou Liang. It was hard to say whether he was good or bad, but his wife was truly warm-hearted. During the 3 years when Du Qiusheng was a fool, Zhou Liang's wife had often come to the house to help out. Du Qiusheng remembered that kindness well. Brother Du, I'm sorry. I'm just begging for a way to survive, so your sister-in-law and my newborn baby can have something hot to eat. Zhou Liang tightened his grip on the wooden stick in his hand, and after a moment of struggle, a fierce look appeared on his face. These days, famine was raging across the country, and in every region there were always a few people starving to death. Yet these sturdy men were all plain farmers who worked the fields from dawn to dusk, and if they wanted to feed their women and children and find a way to survive in the production team, they could only listen to Old Man Zhang. Damn it, Zhou Liang, why are you being polite to a fool? At that moment, another man spat on the ground and snorted coldly. If you ask me, he has no one to blame for what happened today. He brought it on himself. You're asking for death. Enough, cut the crap. Hurry up and tie him up. As long as we switch Du Qiusheng's route on a Zhang Chong, we'll be getting 20 work points a day from now on. 20 work points a day? Du Qiusheng narrowed his eyes, thinking to himself that this old man Zhang had really paid a huge price. Normally, even a man tough as iron would earn at most 10 work points after a full day's labor, but he had gone straight to doubling it. You want to take my route? Heh, that depends on whether you have the ability. Du Qiusheng let out a cold laugh and shielded the still-shaken Su Chunyao behind him. Sister-in-law, step back, so you don't get blood splattered on you later and dirty your clothes. TSK, you're about to die, and you're still putting on an act for them? Fine. Du Qiusheng, I'd like to see how long you can keep talking tough. Damn it, get him. Amid the shouting, the 4 men stopped wasting words and swung their wooden clubs at Du Qiusheng. Seeing this menacing scene, Su Chunyao's breathing caught, her heart leapt into her throat, and her face turned deathly pale. Qiusheng, don't worry about me, run. They've all gone mad. They'll get you killed. Su Chunyao was full of terror, her tearful voice nearly cracking from the strain of shouting. But Du Qiusheng remained utterly still. No one noticed that his deep eyes, dark as a black pool, were now flashing with a sharp gleam. In the dim courtyard, only the candlelight flickered. The shifting shadows of the 4 burly men charging over were stretched long by the candlelight. Overestimating yourselves. Du Qiusheng was completely unafraid, though a dangerous aura stirred in his pitch-black eyes. To be honest, he himself had no real idea how capable he was now, nor did he know whether he could win. But now that things had been pushed this far, no matter what, Du Qiusheng had to fight. With tenderness in his heart, he turned to glance at Su Chunyao behind him. After giving her a reassuring look with his sharp eyes, he swiftly bent low and charged forward. In the blink of an eye, the 2 sides collided like sparks striking the earth. Although Du Qiusheng had been reforged by Taishu Divine Venerable, he lacked actual combat experience. As soon as he rushed into the crowd, he was clearly struggling a bit. Right at the first exchange, his arm took a heavy blow from a club, but the pain in his arm only stirred Du Qiusheng's fighting spirit even more. He brushed past another swing, then in an instant pushed off with his right foot and leapt up, driving his knee into the chest of the man in front. Du Qiusheng held nothing back in this knee strike. Crack! The man had already raised both arms to guard his chest, yet he was still sent flying by that blow. As the sound of bones cracking suddenly rang out, he was still in midair when blood had already spurted from his mouth. This scene instantly stunned everyone. The leading man weighed at least close to 200 jin. Standing in the yard, he was like a door panel blocking the way, and he was sent flying just like that? Du Qiusheng only looked well-proportioned, and the figure beneath his coarse linen short shirt was not especially burly. How on earth did he do it? For a moment, everyone's charging steps came to a halt, and some people's legs were even trembling slightly. But Du Qiusheng paid no attention at all to the shock of those around him. With that one strike, he had also gauged his own level. With this kind of strength, dealing with the group in front of him was absolutely no problem. Du Qiusheng even deliberately held back a bit when he attacked again. In just a short while, the 8 burly men called over by the Zhang family were all sprawled on the ground in a heap. The outcome had been decided. Su Chunyao hurried to Du Qiusheng's side and began checking the bloodstains on him. Qiusheng, are you okay? The price Du Qiusheng paid was nothing more than some scraped skin on his knuckles. As for the bloodstains on his clothes, they all came from the men on the ground. Compared with that, he was more worried that Su Chunyao had been frightened. At that thought, Du Qiusheng looked at his eldest sister-in-law, her face full of worry and on the verge of tears like a startled little rabbit, and suddenly felt a surge of exhilaration in his heart. Although he had been a fool for 3 years, it wasn't as if he had no memories. After his family was gone, he remembered all too well how viciously the Du family had been bullied. It was only because Su Chunyao had managed everything inside and out over these 3 years that the family had not fallen apart. And this woman, whose eyes brimmed with gentle moisture, how much had she suffered and how many losses had she endured over these 3 years? Fortunately, Du Qiusheng had returned to normal and had unexpectedly obtained the Taishu inheritance. He swore that he would cherish his 3 sisters-in-law well. Although the Zhang family no longer had their hired thugs, old man Zhang's expression grew even gloomier. Planting his cane heavily on the ground, he spoke. Du Qiusheng, Zhiguo will be here soon. Today, you won't be walking out of this door. As he spoke, Cui Zhiguo, having received the news, also rushed into the yard with his men, and farther behind them was a group of villagers there to watch the excitement. As soon as everyone arrived, they completely blocked off the yard. Clearly, this matter was not over. Du Qiusheng simply wrapped an arm around Su Chunyao and pulled her tightly into his embrace. While feeling the soft, full warmth against him, he said, "Who else wants to give it a try?" The courtyard, soaked with blood, felt somewhat soft underfoot. With just one glance, Cui Zhiguo guessed what had happened. In this little corner of Shishui village, no matter big or small, nothing happened without involving him. He had of course tacitly approved of the forced marriage matter. But what secretly alarmed him was that he had already sent people to stop Du Qiusheng. Yet this guy had still managed to ruin things. Since things had come to this, Cui Zhiguo simply struck first with an accusation. Du Qiusheng, look at the mess you've made. What did I do? I heard it all. Not only did you injure so many villagers, you were even shouting inside the house that you wanted to keep fighting. What? Do you want to hit me too? If possible, Du Qiusheng certainly did want to beat up Cui Zhiguo. But facing the watching villagers, he still kept himself in check. Fine, then let's talk reason. Mid-sentence, he suddenly raised a finger and pointed straight at old man Zhang with a cold glint in his eyes. As the saying goes, if people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Usually, when you bullied the Du family, we endured it whenever we could. But today, the Zhang family actually wanted to take advantage of my not being home to forcibly marry my eldest sister-in-law as a wife. After I found out, old man Zhang even planned to have me silenced. Heh, this is the fine deed your father-in-law has done. Seeing Cui Zhiguo at a loss for words, Du Qiusheng simply lifted his brows with a cold smile and pulled Su Chunyao even tighter into his arms. Why aren't you saying anything now? Weren't you trying to reason things out? It's true that Du Qiusheng hit people, but the Zhang family's coveting of Su Chunyao has long been common knowledge. Usually, bullying the Du family a bit would have been one thing, but doing something like this today immediately sparked heated discussion. This Zhang family has truly become lawless. Yeah, if they dare snatch Su Chunyao today, tomorrow they'll dare snatch women from other families. Shoo, keep your voices down. Captain Cui is still listening. The villagers' murmurs reached Cui Zhiguo's ears word for word. These things would have been easy enough to talk about behind closed doors, but now that Du Qiusheng had exposed them, he had no way to refute it. Left with no choice, Cui Zhiguo could only signal old man Zhang with a look. The latter immediately understood, threw down his cane, and collapsed onto the ground, wailing on and off. Oh my, everyone, come take a look. That Du family boy was far too ruthless. Even these old bones of mine got kicked several times. Shishui village has always been simple and kind-hearted. It was true that the Zhang family was in the wrong, but seeing old man Zhang beaten, curled up on the ground at his age and wailing in pain, the way everyone looked at Du Qiusheng still changed. This was the only chance to bring down Du Qiusheng, so Cui Zhiguo naturally would not let it slip away. You even hit an old man this hard? Du Qiusheng, if this matter of injuring people can't be resolved, then from this day on, there will be no place for you in my Shishui village. Hearing this, Du Qiusheng was so angry that he laughed. Fine, I'll handle the matter of injuring people, but you, as captain, also have to deal with the Zhang family's matter. Du Qiusheng's tone was extremely forceful, making Cui Zhiguo's expression somewhat ugly. But with so many villagers present watching the commotion, it was not convenient for him to say much. Helpless, Cui Zhiguo could only nod, tacitly accepting this agreement. Du Qiusheng's coarse linen short shirt had long since been soaked through with sweat during the fight, so he simply took it off, revealing a body of lean, well-defined muscle. This sight immediately made Su Chunyao let out a soft cry. But after a brief hesitation, the slender hands covering her eyes still parted to leave 2 narrow gaps. Du Qiusheng, however, paid no attention to it. He merely tilted his head up for a glance at the sun, then extended his right hand and silently began calculating something. Seeing this, Qiusheng spat on the ground and said with disdain, acting all mysterious, trying to pretend you're having some kind of episode now? Too late. He didn't believe in ghosts or gods, but the villagers of Qiusheng village did not dare not believe. After all, since ancient times, there have often been tales everywhere of inviting gods to descend. Seeing Du Qiusheng like that, everyone immediately widened their eyes expectantly and waited in silence. Du Qiusheng was not inviting a god. Although the Qiusheng art was indeed a cultivation technique, it was not entirely without basis. Before cultivating to the first realm, that is, before green vines entwine, one first had to thoroughly study all the medical books in the inheritance. And among those medical books was a method called Ziwu Zhushu. Although this method was obscure, Du Qiusheng had held back his strength when he fought. Aside from the first guy, the rest had only suffered bruises. Relying on the knowledge he had learned from the inheritance, it was enough for him to treat them. A quarter of an hour quickly passed. Just as Qiusheng was already growing impatient and about to urge him on, Du Qiusheng, his hands posed like a blooming adumbra flower, suddenly opened his eyes. The time has come. The low shout made the several people sprawled on the ground all tremble for a moment. They had just experienced the force of Du Qiusheng's fists and kicks, so they naturally knew that this fiend before them was definitely not as easy to deal with as he appeared on the surface. Besides, how could a college student these days possibly believe in ghosts and gods? Could it be that Du Qiusheng was up to no good and wanted to use treatment as an excuse to beat them up again? At that moment, Du Qiusheng rose to his feet, forming sword fingers with his right hand, while his left hand formed the adumbra seal in front of his chest. The blazing sun hanging high in the sky seemed to suddenly establish a connection with him. The villagers were startled to see a faint blur above Du Qiusheng's fingertips. Qiusheng, who had just been full of scorn, kept rubbing his eyes, trying to see clearly what was happening before him. But Du Qiusheng gave no one a chance to speak. In just a few steps, he walked up to the burly men and tapped each of them once. Aside from the first burly man, whose arm bone had been shattered and needed a cast at the hospital, the others didn't even realize what had happened before they felt a warm current pass through their bodies. Then the spots that had just been struck by fists and kicks immediately felt a wave of relief. After the men got up, constantly feeling around their bodies, the way they looked at Du Qiusheng now held a trace of fear. Sharp-minded, skilled in fighting, and knowledgeable in medicine too. What is there that this Du family boy can't do? They were all honest farmers, so how would they dare provoke someone like this again? The one left for last was old Zhang, who had been faking illness. With a cold sneer, Du Qiusheng spotted old Zhang at a glance, his legs flailing non-stop as he tried to crawl into the crowd. Love pretending, do you? I'm coming for you. Putting that thought aside, Du Qiusheng took a few quick steps to old Zhang and instantly pressed 2 fingers onto the latter's Tanzhong acupoint. The old father-in-law let out a miserable scream, frightening Qiusheng half to death. Just as he was about to pull the two apart, Du Qiusheng said unhurriedly, "What are you yelling for? At your age, you've lived your whole life like a dog." Though he had been insulted, at least he hadn't been beaten. Hearing this, old Zhang hurriedly felt at his chest. And with that touch, he really did notice something unusual. Not only did Du family boy's finger press not hurt much when it came down, it had even somewhat improved his long-standing problem with weak legs and poor mobility. Though surprised, what old Zhang needed to do now was pretend he still couldn't get up. No matter how skillful Du Qiusheng's methods were, he still lay on the ground, and his wailing even grew a bit louder. "Ouch, it hurts me to death. Du family boy, stop hitting me. I give in, I really give in." To the villagers who didn't know the truth, this naturally sounded like Du Qiusheng was taking revenge. But Qiusheng was the first to realize something was wrong. Old Zhang was just about to be unable to keep acting, so he was using the chance to complain to signal him. This was bad. Not only could this kid heal people, he could even make someone faking illness not dare keep pretending. The Du family had reason on their side. The only excuse he could use was to claim Du Qiusheng had been too heavy-handed, making the villagers think neither side was any good, so he could muddy the waters and plan the next move. If this kid healed everyone, what was he supposed to do? Was he really supposed to deal with his old father-in-law's family? That was obviously impossible. Du Qiusheng, stop right now. Of course, Du Qiusheng could think of what Qiusheng could think of. To that, he had only one reply. "You told me to treat them, and now that I'm about to finish, you're telling me to stop. What? Do your words mean nothing?" Of course, Du Qiusheng was not going to let old Zhang off. Faking illness aside, Zhang Chong was just a brute with brawn for limbs and no brains to speak of. How could he possibly have come up with such a rotten trick as stealing a bride? Not to mention that when Du Qiusheng had just entered the courtyard, old Zhang had been shouting about replacing the groom. Du Qiusheng was certainly not going to let a scoundrel who had done every kind of evil off too easily. According to the Ziwu annotations, the time of day when yang energy is strongest is noon, and what he intended to do was use yang energy to stir the qi and blood inside old Zhang's body, forcing him to stop pretending. His sword fingers never stopped as Du Qiusheng tapped 5 major acupoints in succession. The surging yang energy kept pouring in, making old Zhang's face flush bright red and his hoarse cries sound even more miserable. As the yang energy entered his body, a thread-like warm current, like the rising sun, kept shining through everything in his blood vessels. Old Zhang held on for a while, but still couldn't help letting out a groan. Although his voice was not loud, it still made the villagers watching realize something was off. Why do I feel old Zhang doesn't seem uncomfortable? Exactly. That sound was just like a cat in heat, except coming from an old man's mouth, which sounded a bit unsettling. The effects of Ziwu annotations were naturally powerful. There are 361 acupoints in the human body, and the most crucial one is the Baihui point located at the center of the top of the head. As Du Qiusheng tapped repeatedly with 2 fingers, he deliberately held back at this spot. For a young person, what he did would not be a big deal, at most causing 2 days of stifling discomfort all over the body. But old Zhang was old and frail, so nothing would show for the moment. But if 10 days or half a month passed, the consequences of poor circulation of qi and blood would be serious. By then, this old bastard getting hemiplegia would be the least of it. Maybe they could even hold his funeral feast next year. Stop! I told you to stop. Although Cui Zhigua shouted loudly from the side, like everyone else, when it came to actually stepping in to stop Du Qiusheng, he really felt somewhat uneasy inside. As his eyes darted around, he suddenly spotted Zhou Liang. Taking advantage of the dim, noisy discussion in the crowd, Cui Zhigua quietly moved to the latter's side and said in a low voice, "Get that kid away from there, now." "Me? Stop the nonsense. If you do it, I'll give you 5 gene of grain coupons." Having just witnessed Du Qiusheng's ability, Zhou Liang was also scared at the moment. But 5 gene of rice was enough for a family to hold on for another 6 or 7 days. Gritting his teeth, Zhou Liang rolled up his heavily patched sleeves and charged forward with his head down. Seeing this, Cui Zhigua gave a vicious grin. The biggest taboo during medical treatment was interruption. Whether Zhou Liang succeeded or not, Du Qiusheng would definitely be disturbed. If he failed to cure old Zhang, then he and the Zhang family would naturally have something to say. Du Qiusheng also saw Zhou Liang rushing over. These days, all the commune's grain had to be handed over, so it really was hard for Zhou Liang to support a family, not to mention that there was also a newborn baby. As the saying goes, never more than 3 times. Earlier, Du Qiusheng had already gone very easy on Zhou Liang for the sake of Zhou's wife. This time, he still intended to give the latter a chance. But Du Qiusheng did not hurry to get up. He merely pressed 2 fingers onto old Zhang's Guanyuan point below the navel, forcing the latter to almost jump up before suddenly rising and blocking Zhou Liang's path. "Brother Liang, every grievance has its perpetrator. As long as you step aside, I won't blame you." Zhou Liang's task was to stop Du Qiusheng. Now that the latter had already stood up, he could be considered to have barely completed the task. So he immediately stopped speaking and silently retreated into the crowd. With the obstruction gone, Du Qiusheng then raised his fingers and casually tapped old Zhang a few times. Everyone here saw it. "I cured a member of the Zhang family, so Captain Cui should fulfill the agreement now, right?" Wait. As soon as Du Qiusheng said this, old Zhang too stood there with a face full of embarrassment. Perfectly fine on his feet, something anyone with eyes could see. Yet Cui Zhigua still insisted on arguing. Hearing this, Du Qiusheng did not get angry. With mockery in his eyes, he simply waited quietly for a moment. Cui Zhigua really was shameless. Ignoring the whispering villagers, he just loudly questioned, "Dad, how does your body feel?" I still feel pain all over." On one side were the fellow villagers, who had seen what was really going on and kept discussing it. On the other was his son-in-law Cui Zhigua with a gloomy face. Old Zhang's eyes rolled around, and he spoke against his conscience. Having gotten the answer he wanted, Cui Zhigua cupped his hands to the people around him, preparing to draw a conclusion on the matter. But how could Du Qiusheng give him that chance? The handsome man, bare-bodied and covered in sturdy muscles, so striking that the young and married women alike were too embarrassed to look at him directly, raised a hand and seized the right to speak. I'll say the same thing again. Justice lives in people's hearts. Since old Zhang says he still feels unwell, then I'll see the good deed through to the end. How about that? Old Zhang had always been shrewd in his younger days, and was even a well-known slick operator throughout the surrounding villages. Now that he's gotten on in years, he'd naturally developed a bellyful of bad intentions. How could he not know what Qiusheng was plotting? What happened just now may indeed have been treatment, but if that brat were allowed to lay a hand on him again, then his old bones would probably give out on the spot. Not caring about the feelings of the younger generation in the family, old man Zhang hurriedly raised both hands high. No, I'm fine. Qiusheng cured me. The bruises on the faces of the few burly men the Zhang family had called over gradually faded away, and even the father-in-law, the only one they could make an issue of, had cowered. As for the man with the broken bone, Qiusheng had already made it clear. He did know how to set bones, but without a cast, there was no guarantee it wouldn't leave lasting aftereffects. Since he'd spoken such heartfelt words, the villagers naturally accepted it. With pressure coming from all sides, even though Qiusheng still had more to say, faced with the villagers' scrutinizing gazes, he could only swallow it all down. No matter how stifled he felt, he still said unwillingly, "This matter counts as the Zhang family's fault. Just admitting fault isn't enough. If I do something wrong and you say I should pay compensation, then if the Zhang family did something wrong, shouldn't they also compensate my sister-in-law? How do you want to pay?" Facing the yielding Qiusheng did not hesitate in the slightest. 100 yuan, and we'll call it even. Why don't you just go rob someone? Old man Zhang instantly grew anxious. These days, everyone's earnings were counted down to the cent. The cash each family hid in drawers or under pillows amounted to no more than a few great unity bills. 100 yuan? Good lord, that was nearly 2 years' income for a strong laborer working without eating or drinking. And even that wasn't something everyone could earn. To make that kind of money, first you had to be highly skilled at work, a sturdy man willing to put in hard labor, and also get at least a second-class rating in the commune assessment to even have a chance of earning it. Yet with just a movement of his lips, this Qiusheng wanted 100 yuan as compensation? Did he really have no regard at all for his son-in-law Qiusheng? Qiusheng, you're asking too much. 100 yuan. If that won't do, we can go reason it out with the public security, but let me remind you of one thing. Your Zhang family snatched away the marriage arrangement for my sister-in-law, and that could very well count as the crime of human trafficking. Old man Zhang naturally didn't dare bear that charge, much less let his only son Zhang Chang take it. Left with no choice, he could only fall silent and turn to look at Qiusheng. The latter instead took on the role of the peacemaker. Qiusheng simply put on an air of impartiality, first cupping his hands to the villagers before saying to Qiusheng, "Everyone here are fellow villagers. The Zhang family can't come up with that much money either. If you ask me, this is about enough. How about this? I'll make the decision. The Zhang family will pay you 20 yuan. That's not a small amount, right?" At this point, Qiusheng didn't forget to signal Zhou Liang and the others with his eyes, telling them to chime in as well. Brother Du, Zhang Chang can only get a third-class worker rating in the commune, and after half a year of work, he can only save up these 20 yuan. This is no small sum. Zhou Liang is right. What family these days can come up with 100 yuan? Can your Du family? Playing the sympathy card, fake fairness. To avoid paying that 100 yuan, Qiusheng and the others took turns stepping in. After that barrage of rhetoric, even the villagers who were just watching the excitement began to feel that Qiusheng was asking too much. Some of them even looked at him again with hostility in their eyes. With the men backing her up, the Zhang family's second daughter, Zhang Xueli, also got emboldened. "A shameless tramp, and you've still got the nerve to ask us for money?" Qiusheng could treat the earlier words as nonsense. But the moment he heard this sentence, his brows instantly knitted together. Yet Zhang Xueli showed no restraint whatsoever and instead became even more excessive. "Isn't that little mess in your Du family already known to everyone? What do you mean?" Qiusheng had originally wanted to stop his sister-in-law, but Su Chunyao had already spoken, so he could only swallow the words at his lips and instead turn a sharp gaze toward Qiusheng. But the latter, feeling emboldened, had no intention of stopping Zhang Xueli at all. He simply turned his head and chose to ignore Qiusheng's gaze. Meanwhile, Zhang Xueli only cursed with growing enthusiasm. "And you still have the nerve to ask me? Who knows how many times you and those two slutty women have been screwed by this fool?" At this point, she paused. With heavy disdain, Zhang Xueli looked Su Chunyao up and down from head to toe, then simply spat on the ground. "Trash like you. Only my Zhang Chang is honest enough to think of marrying you. You should be secretly delighted." Why you're talking nonsense? A woman's chastity is more important than anything. All these years since marrying into the Du family, Su Chunyao had always conducted herself properly and dutifully. Hardship, she could endure. But being slandered with the most vicious words instantly clouded Su Chunyao's eyes with a layer of mist. Yet while Zhang Xueli could casually hurl false accusations, Su Chunyao's principles would never allow her to lie through her teeth. As she listened, the moisture in Su Chunyao's eyes grew heavier and heavier. At the most painful part, tears streamed down her peach-tinged cheeks, and a few lingering droplets clung to her eyelashes, making her look heartbreakingly pitiable. If the insults were aimed at himself, Du Qiusheng could ignore them, and might even cheerfully ask, "Are you done cursing? If you've had your fill, then it's time to pay compensation." But during the time when he had fallen into idiocy, the Du family had been held together entirely by his 3 sisters-in-law. Those 3 women were Du Qiusheng's reverse scale. He would never allow anyone to offend them. Anger surged within him. Du Qiusheng could not even be bothered to trade words with a shrew. Instead, pretending that he had been angered into chest pain, he bent down, and in the instant his hand touched the ground, pinched up a tiny stone the size of a grain of rice. Whoosh! The next moment, the stone silently flew out, and in an instant landed on Zhang Xueli's Yutong acupoint on her chest. The Yutong acupoint was originally used to treat asthma and throat swelling. But after Du Qiusheng applied his technique to it, Zhang Xueli was instantly seized by rapid panting, and then could only clutch her throat and let out a string of hurried sounds. Daughter, what's wrong with you?" Old man Zhang had truly been frightened by Du Qiusheng. Even when his daughter and son-in-law had brought people to curse in the street, he had only stood in the crowd watching the commotion. Precisely because of that, old man Zhang was actually the first to notice that something was wrong. Immediately, the Zhang family fell into chaos. Some patted her chest, some fanned her, and some even tried invoking spirits and chanting spells. The Zhang family huddled together, bustling about until sweat appeared on their foreheads. Cui Zhigua even urged the villagers to help as well. But Zhang Xueli, clutching her throat, showed no signs of getting better no matter what, and even her breathing gradually became a little difficult. Du Qiusheng hadn't attacked with the intention of killing her, but with such a huge crowd packed tightly around that shrew, it would be a miracle if she could breathe smoothly. Only after seeing that she had suffered enough did he cheerfully add, "Retribution comes fast in this world, letting you spread rumors and slander people. Now you've suffered heavenly punishment, haven't you?" Hearing those words dripping with sarcasm, old man Zhang finally remembered that there was a miracle doctor right in front of him. But for him to bow his head to Du Qiusheng was truly difficult. Fortunately, Du Qiusheng was kind-hearted. Seeing that the Zhang family was too embarrassed to ask, he simply took the initiative and said, "I can treat Zhang Xueli's illness." "Then why aren't you hurrying up?" Still in the heat of anger, Cui Zhigua spoke without any restraint. After shooting Du Qiusheng a vicious glance, he squeezed out a sentence through clenched teeth. The smile on Du Qiusheng's face still had not faded. He merely extended his index finger and waved it in front of Cui Zhigua. "A healer is benevolent by nature. Originally, I planned to treat her for free. But since you don't know how to speak properly, then pay up." "How much?" "I'll pay." This time, Cui Zhigua had no choice but to admit defeat. But he never expected that Du Qiusheng would make an outrageous demand again. 100. "You. Hey, think before you speak. If I don't like what I hear, I'll raise the price again. Besides, I don't trust you. Even if I treat her, you have to pay first." 200 yuan was definitely not a small sum in the eyes of the people of Shishui village. As the production team leader, Cui Zhigua could come up with the money, but it would truly pain him to do so. Zhang Xueli was, after all, Lu Chao's wife. With disaster at hand, Cui Zhigua simply turned to Lu Chao, who had already returned from Matu Mountain. Lu Chao was nothing more than an ordinary farmer, working hard all year long, yet he still couldn't earn much money. Poor men have a hard time getting a wife. He wanted to save Zhang Xueli, but he really had no money. Driven to desperation, Lu Chao dropped to his knees with a thud, kneeling before Cui Zhigua and old man Zhang. "Brother-in-law, Dad, I'm useless and really can't come up with that much money. Please, for Xueli's sake as a member of the Zhang family, help me." As the old saying goes, there is gold beneath a man's knees. Lu Chao's kneeling truly startled the villagers watching the commotion. But for the sake of his wife, everyone could understand. For a moment, the villagers' gazes all focused on old man Zhang and Cui Zhigua. Being an old fox, old man Zhang had spent most of his life saving money. He really could afford 200 yuan. But that was money meant to be left for his only son Zhang Chong in the future. So how could he spend it on a daughter already married off? Thinking this, old man Zhang squeezed his two mung bean-like eyes and forced out a few crocodile tears. Dad wants to save Xueli too, but you know our family situation. I'm old now. Even if I took out all my coffin money, I'd only have 3 yuan. In the early 60s, the country's grain output was not high, and many people were even struggling on the edge of hunger. Although old man Zhang had lived more than half his life and seemed to be doing fairly well in ordinary times, the villagers still thought it was normal that his family had no money. Everyone's gaze gradually shifted to Cui Zhigua. Tell me, do you think Zhigua can come up with these 200 yuan? Are you stupid? Cui Zhigua is the production team leader of Shishui village. Whoever might be poor, he couldn't possibly be. Exactly. Captain Cui is very protective of his own. He'll definitely save her. The villagers' discussions kept drifting over. As the Zhang family's son-in-law, when something happened to the Zhang family, no matter how unwilling Cui Zhigua was, he could only undo the pocket on the front of his shirt for appearance's sake. After feeling around in the pocket for a moment, he relied on touch and pinched out 20 10 yuan notes, handing them over with a dark expression. When Du Qiusheng took the money, he could clearly feel the other side still tugging at the bills. But Du Qiusheng also increased the force in his hand without a trace. After a brief struggle, the money went into his pocket, and Du Qiusheng's smile grew even brighter. I won't count the money. Captain Cui, your reputation precedes you, and I trust you. Boy from the Du family, you'd better hold on to it tight. Du Qiusheng knew Cui Zhigua hated him in his heart. Once this matter was over, the latter would definitely find a way to retaliate in the future. But his enmity with the Zhang family had already grown deep. Rather than trying to curry favor with Cui Zhigua and spending every night hoping this bunch would take it easier in their revenge, he might as well trust himself. As for relying on the villagers for protection, Du Qiusheng had already seen what these people were capable of when it came to trimming their sails to the wind. If he hadn't arrived in time today, even if something had happened to his sister-in-law, after some persuasion from the Zhang family, the villagers probably would have let it pass as no big deal. Luckily, Du Qiusheng was happy with that. After all, having seen the villagers' nature, when facing retaliation from Cui Zhigua and the Zhang family in the future, he could act with fewer restraints. With the money in hand, the matter was settled. All that remained was to treat Zhang Xueli. Walking into the crowd, Du Qiusheng did not hurry to begin, but instead held out his hand toward old man Zhang. The latter was instantly dumbfounded. Aren't you treating her? Why are you holding out your hand to me? Is the money not enough? I don't have any money. Do you think everyone is like your Zhang family, a whole household of shameless ruffians? After mocking old man Zhang, Du Qiusheng continued. Hand over the cane. I can't be bothered to touch your daughter. Otherwise your whole family might try to frame me again. Du Qiusheng knew old man Zhang was furious inside, and the more enraged he was, the more blocked his qi and blood would become. But since this rotten bunch from the Zhang family could do something like abducting someone and forcing a marriage, they couldn't blame him for being ruthless. The cane fell against her chest, and as soon as the Huagai acupoint was opened, Zhang Xueli suddenly began gasping for breath. So it really was heavenly punishment just now. She only felt a tightness in her chest, and then couldn't say another word. After going through this, Zhang Xueli was truly frightened. Even with Su Chunyao right in front of her, she didn't dare say another half a word. And at that moment, Du Qiusheng added one more sentence. The wicked will be dealt with by heaven sooner or later. Keep a leash on that mouth of yours from now on. Don't let the water in your brain come pouring out through it. With that said, Du Qiusheng grabbed his shirt and flung it over his shoulder, then pulled along Su Chunyao, who had been following behind him the whole way with a faint mist still in her eyes, and quickly walked out of the crowd. Once they were farther away and he saw no one behind them, he finally spoke to comfort her. Don't be afraid, sister-in-law. The Zhang family are just a bunch of bastards who bully the weak and fear the strong. After this incident, if they want to lay a hand on you again, they'll have to think twice. I understand. At this moment, Su Chunyao felt even more that the man before her had the bearing of someone she could rely on. Already trailing behind Du Qiusheng, she couldn't help but move a little closer to him. Du Qiusheng was still bare-chested at the moment, and before long he felt a touch of soft warmth added behind his back. Facing the Zhang family, he could be righteous and fearless. But in this situation right now, Du Qiusheng truly found it hard to endure. Her beautiful eyes were full of allure, and her seductive charm seemed heaven-made. Du Qiusheng was only in his early 20s this year, a man in the full vigor of youth. So how could he withstand this temptation? After enduring it for half the way, he had wanted to say something to ease the ambiguous atmosphere. But then, In the direction of home within his sight, two women suddenly came running out. The two were naturally Du Qiusheng's second sister-in-law and third sister-in-law. Charging in front was his third sister-in-law Su Lan, her face flushed red with anger and a wooden stick still in her hand. A little farther behind was his second sister-in-law Qiusheng, with a slender waist and exceptionally perfect proportions. The moment they met, Su Lan quickened her pace and rushed in front of Du Qiusheng and the other two. "Sister, are you okay? I'm going to fight those bastards from the Zhang family. Don't be ridiculous." Qiusheng got there in time. "I'm fine." Once her childish temper flared up, even though Su Chunyao spoke to persuade her, Su Lan still couldn't help cursing all along the street. As for the more thoughtful Qiusheng, with a face full of worry, she gently took Su Chunyao's hands in hers. The rope marks on her wrists were still clearly visible. Just 2 glances were enough to guess how much Su Chunyao had suffered and how desperately she had struggled. After only a slight thought, Qiusheng's voice involuntarily took on a trace of sobbing as she spoke. "Sister, sis." At that point, she could no longer say anything more. When women keep a household together, they are bound to suffer all kinds of grievances. But in front of outsiders, the 3 of them had to put on a strong front. Now that they were right at their own doorstep, once Qiusheng started crying, it was like lighting a fuse. And in an instant the other 2 joined in, and the 3 of them cried in a huddle. Seeing this, Du Qiusheng's heart ached terribly. He hurriedly and gently put an arm around Su Chunyao and then pulled Qiusheng up, and finally lifted his knee and lightly nudged Su Lan, trying to guide the 3 of them into the house first. But with Du Qiusheng fussing over both sides at once, how could he pay attention to too many details? The moment he realized his knee had touched something slightly perky and soft, and then saw Su Lan suddenly stop crying and raise her head to look at him instead, he was instantly dumbfounded. This was bad. Could it be that he was taken for a groper? Su Lan's face was already flushed with anger, and now even the tips of her ears felt a little hot. Seeing that her 2 older sisters hadn't noticed Du Qiusheng's little move, she quietly shot Du Qiusheng a glare, then was the first to walk into the house. Since she hadn't scolded him to his face, Du Qiusheng felt awkward, but also a little relieved deep down. Not to mention that after Su Lan shyly went inside, he also found a reason to lead his 2 sisters-in-law into the house. "Let's talk inside." Accompanied by the creak of the old courtyard gate, the 3 of them went back into the house one after another. Although Su Lan was still nowhere to be seen, she was definitely at home, so Du Qiusheng didn't pay it much mind. After Qiusheng and Su Chunyao sat down, he comforted them with a few words before turning his gaze to the former. "How did you know? Xiao Lan and I had originally taken on a job weaving cloth for the production team, but the more we thought about it, the more something felt off. It's long past the days of war now, so who would need that much cloth woven?" And then, at this moment, Du Qiusheng truly admired his 2 sisters-in-law's sharp intuition. He could even imagine that it was precisely this intuition that had helped the 3 women avoid who knew how many dangers. Then we secretly came back home and found the house in a complete mess. After asking around among the villagers, we learned that something had happened to Big Sister. Those damn Zhang family people. Second sister-in-law Qiusheng had always been gentle. After marrying into the Du family, she had never even argued heatedly with anyone, and had never so much as uttered a single curse word. For her to be cursing now, one could only imagine how furious she was. Just as Du Qiusheng was about to speak, Su Lan's voice came from not far away, followed by a pot of hot tea being set on the table. "Zhang Chang and his old man are notorious drifters. People like that ought to be dragged out and shot. Just wait, I'm not done with them." The harsh words came out crisply. But Su Lan was, after all, still a girl. If she really stormed off to the Zhang family in a fit of anger, she would definitely be the one to suffer. Hearing this, Du Qiusheng hurriedly pulled out some banknotes from his pocket. "Look, where did you get so much money?" These days, the money people had on hand was barely enough even just to buy grain. For families like Zhou Liang's, who had just added a new baby, buying milk powder was an even greater hurdle. Caught off guard by the stack of large denomination bills on the table, the 2 uninformed women were both stunned. Seeing that Su Lan was no longer clamoring for revenge, Qiusheng also returned to her usual gentleness. Only then did Du Qiusheng say calmly, "The Zhang family dared bully eldest sister-in-law, so of course I had to collect some interest. This is Cui Zhigua's money. Don't worry. I won't even mention when I was sick, but now that I'm better, I absolutely won't let the 3 of you suffer any more grievances." As he spoke, Du Qiusheng thumped his chest loudly. That vigor unique to a man also brought a spark back into the eyes of the 3 women. Over the past few years, they had suffered far too much. Being slandered and even verbally harassed had become part of everyday life. Now that Qiusheng had returned to normal, they finally had someone to rely on. For a moment, each of the women, harboring her own thoughts, simply looked at Qiusheng in silence, and all fell quiet together. Being watched by three beautiful sisters-in-law, he suddenly recalled what had happened with Su Chunyao on the way home, and then thought of the softness his knee had just touched. The more he thought about it, the more distracted Qiusheng became, even showing signs of getting aroused. All of a sudden, he slapped his forehead, startling the women. Bearing the gaze of all three, Qiusheng quickly ran out the door, leaving behind only one sentence. "Sisters-in-law, boil a pot of water, I'll be right back." Feeling more at ease now, the three women, each attractive in her own way, were even in the mood to tease for once. Following Qiusheng's instruction, as they boiled the water, they didn't forget to joke around and playfully swat at one another. As soon as Qiusheng, sweating on his forehead and carrying a back basket, stepped through the door, he saw the third sister-in-law looking adorably naive, her slender hands gesturing in front of the second sister-in-law's chest about something. Vaguely, he also heard a sentence. "Sister Yaji, why do I feel like yours are so much bigger than mine?" Shin Yaji had wanted to speak, but from the corner of her eye, she caught sight of Qiusheng. Her face immediately flushed red, and she hurriedly slapped away Su Lan's eager hands. As if afraid that the two women with their backs to Qiusheng might say some private things women say among themselves. Shin Yaji quickly raised her voice a little. "We've boiled some water for you. If you're tired, take a bath first. Not in a hurry." Having just walked in the door and heard such an explosive topic, of course Qiusheng didn't dare speak recklessly. After responding, he took off the back basket and pulled out the plump wild rabbit. "Look, what a fat rabbit. The end of the year is hard. Even for the very last meal of the year, the meat used for making dumplings was only 2 liang per person. The 4 members of the Du family could get less than a jin of meat in total. But the wild rabbit in Qiusheng's hand alone weighed at least 4 or 5 jin. And that wasn't all. After handing the wild rabbit to Su Chunyao, Qiusheng then from the back basket in succession, took out a heap of wild greens and mountain mushrooms, meat and mountain produce. It was no exaggeration to say that this meal was even better than what the 4 of them ate during the new year. Only then did Qiusheng, his face full of joy, continue. "I told you, as long as I'm here, I'll definitely make sure you have enough to eat and warm clothes to wear. It's getting late, let's hurry and get this ready. After we finish eating, I'll go get more meat. You've also been busy all day today, so how about taking a rest?" Because Su Chunyao had injured her wrist, though she was originally the head cook, the other 2 women firmly assigned her to sweeping the courtyard instead. Though they called it cleaning, there wasn't even a fallen leaf in the yard, so it was obviously an easy job to let her take it easy. With nothing else to do anyway, Su Chunyao simply scooped up a basin of water, sprinkled it around the yard, and then knocked toward the kitchen. Amid the crackling of firewood, Su Lan's fair cheeks had already become like a little tabby cat's face, stained with the black soot of the charcoal fire. But that bit of black not only did not diminish her cuteness, it instead made Su Lan seem even more lively. As for Shin Yaji, her task was clearly much heavier. As the head cook, she rarely got to show off her cooking skills in front of the others, and at this moment, she was seriously mixing the sauce. The steaming food basket was already giving off a faint scent of meat, and just one whiff was enough to make Su Chunyao's long empty stomach burst with excitement. As for Qiusheng's work, it was simple in one sense, though somewhat tedious. At this moment he had moved a small stool into the yard and was intently weaving a fish basket. This kind of work that strains the eyes was generally done when the sunlight was best. Now the night had already spread across nearly half the sky, and it was only because Su Chunyao felt sorry for him that she spoke to persuade him. "It's just weaving a fish basket, not troublesome. Only when there's grain at home can you feel at ease. You saw Zhou Liang too. Usually he's fairly decent. If he hadn't had another baby to raise, how could he have become Cui Zhigua's lackey? Sigh, every family has its own hard-to-recite scripture." Su Chunyao felt this deeply. Seeing that Qiusheng made sense, she stopped trying to persuade him, and merely put the basin back inside the house, then swayed gracefully to Qiusheng's back and began loosening the muscles and bones of the only man in the family. Today was Qiusheng's first time getting into a fight with anyone, and he had gone up against Lu Chao and then the Zhang family group one after another. Having overestimated himself for a moment, he really had strained some muscles. Under the massage of those soft hands, a wave of comfort spread through his neck, making Qiusheng unable to resist tilting his head back a little. Ah! What followed was a soft cry, a accompanied by the soft sensation against the back of his head. But Su Chunyao pressed her lips together and did not dodge. Only the hands massaging Du Qiusheng's neck and shoulders grew somewhat stiff. Of course, the latter knew what had happened. That wonderful sensation truly made Du Qiusheng not want to move. But to avoid offending his sister-in-law, he still hurriedly raised his head and looked back apologetically. The first thing he saw was that pair of trembling sweet melons. Du Qiusheng quickly averted his gaze and said instead, "I didn't mean to. I know, it's all right." At this point, the atmosphere between the two had become a little awkward. Fortunately, Su Lan heard the commotion and came out in time. "Sister Yao, what are you shouting for?" "I saw a hedgehog." "Where? Where? Let me see." "Good grief." For convenience, Du Qiusheng wore his hair in a buzz cut. The hedgehog Su Chunyao blurted out in a flash of inspiration. If not him, who else could it be? Luckily, with Su Lan's interruption, Su Chunyao also came out of that moment's ambiguity. Smiling, she lightly tapped Su Lan on the forehead and said softly, "That hedgehog already ran off, but look at yourself. Where's the look of a young lady? Is it because Yaji dislikes you and won't let you tend the fire anymore? Then hurry up and wash your face." Humph. Su Chunyao had guessed right. Su Lan was the youngest, and because of her lively personality, she served as a bit of relief in the two older sisters' monotonous lives, naturally becoming the apple of their eye. Usually, whenever the family got any food, the two of them always let her taste it first. Today was naturally the same. They said Su Lan was helping tend the fire, but after Shinyaji had her taste everything, she drove her out of the kitchen. Recalling the warmth of the past, Du Qiusheng also smiled. The moment he smiled, it immediately drew Su Lan's displeasure. "Qiusheng, it's one thing for Sister Chunyao and Sister Yaji to laugh at me, but what are you, the real youngest one in this family, laughing at?" "I'm laughing because you didn't wash your face. You've turned into a little tabby cat. Why don't you give me a meow?" As soon as he said this, Su Lan became a little angry. But with her cheeks deliberately puffed out, she looked even more like a slender little tabby cat. At that, not only was Du Qiusheng laughing, even Su Chunyao laughed out loud. "Humph, I'll wash then. When we sit down to eat later, I'm going to eat all the meat and not leave any for you." "All right, you can finish eating before we start." Amid the teasing, the meal was served. It was rare to have meat, and of course Su Lan didn't guard it jealously. Instead, she took the initiative to pick up a piece of rabbit for Su Chunyao, then glared at Du Qiusheng with dissatisfaction. "Hurry up and eat. If you, the only man here, get so hungry you lose weight, what will the other villagers think of us three sisters?" All right, I'll eat." Bickering, laughing, eating. The Du family, which had not been this relaxed in a long time, finally had laughter again after Du Qiusheng returned to normal. After the meal, as usual, Su Chunyao stayed in the courtyard while the two women carried the bowls and chopsticks into the kitchen. The woman, with both hands folded over her lower abdomen, had originally still been lost in thought. But when she saw Du Qiusheng really pick up the fish basket, intending to brave the starry night to get meat for the three women, Su Chunyao ultimately couldn't hold back. Even though it's almost summer, the nights are still cool. And if you stay up the whole night, your body won't be able to take it. "Sister-in-law, don't worry. I'm not stupid. Why would I stay up all night? Once I catch a few fish, I'll come back. And besides, I worked up a nasty sweat during the day, so it just so happens I can go wash up by the river." Since Du Qiusheng had put it that way, Su Chunyao had no choice. The only thing she could do was look at him silently, her eyes full of tenderness. "Come back early. Your sister-in-law will be waiting for you." Don't worry." Du Qiusheng agreed at once. But when he looked into Su Chunyao's eyes, his heart still stirred for a moment. The next instant, Du Qiusheng picked up the fish basket and left home without looking back, only raising his right hand on the way and waving it hard. He knew that someone at home was waiting for him. As early summer approached, the reeds along the Qiushui River were flourishing. Lush green leaves bloomed in abundance, stretching all the way into the river. The stars sparkled overhead, and it was probably already past 9 o'clock. Su Chunyao was still waiting at home, and from the look of it, if Du Qiusheng didn't come back, she truly wouldn't sleep. Naturally, the man didn't dare delay. As soon as he rolled up his pant legs and stepped into the water, he prepared to cast his net for fish. Just then, a sudden rustling came from the distant reeds. It seemed the fish at the bottom of the river could not bear the loneliness, breaking through the surface and causing the commotion. Well, that worked out nicely, and Du Qiusheng didn't even have to spend time choosing a spot. Beaming with delight, he hurried toward the place where the noise had come from. But as the breeze swept through the reeds, making them rustle incessantly, Du Qiusheng was dumbfounded the moment he arrived. Beneath the bright moonlight, in the water not far from the reeds, a graceful body, even more lustrous white than the moonlight, was splashing up water and gently sprinkling it over her skin. Thump! His blood surged faster, and Qiusheng's legs went weak at the sight. He had never expected that he had merely wanted to catch fish at night, only to run into the village widow Li Mingyu bathing outdoors. What was he supposed to do now?